German policy in the islands was changing. The colonial administration was impatient with the slow pace of development, especially in the Eastern Carolines. In 1908, Georg Fritz, the newly appointed governor of Pohnpei, limited the number of chiefly feasts and imposed a tax on all Pohnpeian males to be paid in labor.
Pohnpeians had their way of contributing or giving to the chiefs certain produce of their land in return for apparently staying in the land, because the chiefs were in control of that. Now that is changed during the German period, and they said, okay, we would like to tax all of the males of Pohnpei, and you will be doing taxation in terms of public projects.
Governor Karl Böder, who replaced Fritz in 1910, was ordered to enforce this labor tax. Like the Spaniards before them, the Germans began a road-building project using Pohnpeian labor.
The Spanish, before the Germans, were not imposing too much of themselves on the Pohnpeians, although they required some work. So my thinking is that the manner in which the German people treated both the common people and the leadership were not appropriate to the Pohnpeians.
Feelings among Sokehs people ran high when they were put to work building a road around their own island as part of the labor tax. Troops from New Guinea were brought in to reinforce the local police force.
The other thing that I think was boiling or was happening underneath all of these is the land tenure system was being changed from an older system which placed the ownership of land with the non-marquis, and the ownership was taken away from them and placed in the private ownership realm.
Hostilities spilled over into violence after one of the governor's staff manhandled the highest-ranking chief of Sokehs, and the German construction foreman flogged one of the local workers. For the people of Sokehs, this was the last straw. The traditional leaders gathered the people for a feast and announced to them their plan to rebel against the German government.
Well, during the feast, Somatao and Sokehs indicated to the people of Sokehs that the following day there will be no work on the construction of the road. But there was an understanding that they will be ready to fight. And so when the German project manager got there in the morning, there was nobody at the work site, not a single soul. So he started ringing a bell to call them in. When the people showed up, they showed up well anointed. Their bodies were well anointed, and they wore grass skirts. And they carried machetes that were not normally used for that kind of work. And so just looking at them gave the German project manager the idea that they were going to do something that day.
The project managers hid themselves in a German church and attempted to send a letter to the governor warning of a possible attack. But the leaders of the rebellion intercepted this message.
So on the same day, through some other means, the governor learned of what was happening. So he took a number of soldiers, I think, and head on down to Sokehs. He wanted to see the people who were congregating there. But before he could get there, he was jumped on the road. And actually, it was not the Somatao and Sokehs who killed him. It was his brother, younger brother. his name was Liberer, and he jumped out and shot the governor.
Also killed was a project manager. The rebellion had begun. The handful of Germans on the island fled to the colony, where the wall was hastily rebuilt and new defenses set up. The Germans summoned help from other parts of the island. Net, U, and Medellin responded immediately. Kitchi sent forces a few days later. The task of guarding the colony fell to these allies of the Germans. By early January 1911, 5 German warships had anchored off Pohnpei. The ships, which brought additional troops and artillery, cordoned off Sokehs Island. The column of German troops, combined with Melanesian policemen, soon advanced towards Sokehs to attack the Sokehs warriors. For an hour before the assault, guns on the German warships pounded the defenders' position on top of Sokehs Ridge. Led by Pohnpeian guides, the German troops scaled the heights of Sokehs. The fortified position that the Sokehs men held at the top of the ridge was abandoned when the German force reached the summit. The people had slipped past the climbing Germans and escaped to other parts of the island.
I don't think that there was any one time that there was a face-to-face shootout of the rebels and the soldiers. I think the people of Pohnpei at that time were fighting the first guerrilla warfare. That is, they would come out, shoot some people, and then disappear into the woods.